Hello, CSL fans. My name is Marionett, and I'm bringing you the Week 7 CSL weekly recaps for Week 7. It was definitely filled with a lot of interesting matches, a lot of just rivalries between teams were fighting it off, and on top of that, it was a outer conferential match, which meant that there was definitely some conference and division competition, as well as things started to stir up for the playoff race. But today I'm not alone. I am actually joined by
ClassyZoroark.
How are you today?
Pretty good.
Pretty good. So Classy is currently the number 1 ranked in the CSL, as well as a Season 2 and 3 semifinalist. So you've had your fair share of CSL battles and CSL experience.
Yes, I have. Like 4 seasons now.
Yeah, so you got a veteran here. So I think we're just going to hop right into the first match, and that is the Cherrymander and the Scion Zards taking on Cries and the Florida Feraligatrs. The Scion Zards took a 1-0 victory against the Florida Feraligatrs. Was there anything interesting that you would have liked to note about this match?
At first I thought the Latios would be a threat, but turns out not, because of the Victini, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you're right about that. I definitely saw Victini putting a lot of just momentum through initiative and U-turning consistently from Cherry's side. It definitely made it a lot closer of a match than it could have been, but it also at the same time, it helped him secure a victory. Was there anything else you kind of noted in terms of team building or creativity?
The Meloetta, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was physical, which is very good against Cherrymander.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty creative. I actually noted that in the template, right? In the template where I wrote Meloetta, I put Meloetta-P because I actually think it was very creative in terms of just finding even the littlest things that can really get a team matchup on the other side, and I think that was good team building on Cries' part. Was there anything else you kind of noted?
At first, when he got a good start out with the Cries, got a good start with the Rodham, right?
Yeah.
With the advantage.
Yeah, so I think the leads were really good, but I think Cherrymander still turned it around with switching in Gliscor against the Volt Switch and gaining momentum immediately back for the rest of the game. So the next match we're going to be having is the Detroit Pyroar, who are 4-2, taking on the Memphis Mamoswines, who are 2-4. And the Pyroar took a 2-0 victory against the Memphis Mamoswines. I think something that was very interesting in this match was the physical Venusaur, which was able to do many things, including Earthquake the Heatran and knock off the Dusclops, making it a lot less useful as a wall, which played a huge role in the match later on. Was there anything else you kind of had thoughts on?
Oh, the Gyro Ball Licky Tongue.
Yeah, the Licky Licky.
Oh yeah, Licky. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Same thing.
I think it also, that definitely put like a very big gimmicky surprise on Anthony, and it definitely made Diancie a lot more weakened, making it not be able to really sweep with the calm mind.
Yeah. Also, what else? Oh, he did very well stalling Zoops with Dusclops and Umbreon.
Yeah, I think that definitely made an impact on like the differential of the match. I think even though Anthony might have been out by middle of the battle, I think he did a good job of maintaining a low differential.
Definitely made a dent.
Yeah, he made a big dent. So the next match we have is the Calgary HydroCannons taking on the San Diego Wild Chargers, after defeating Realies with a 2-0 victory. Was there anything notable you had about this match?
The double Magicoat.
Oh my god, that was sick. What did you think of that?
Well, he did the first Magicoat, and I was like, whoa, man, I've done that before. Surprising. And then he did it again.
Yeah,
and I was like,
so
blown away.
I think that also, it was good prep, but it was also so risky on Obda's part. Obda played so risky in the match, and it pulled off. But I don't know if it's gonna I don't know if that level of risk is gonna pay off in every single match. I mean, what do you think in terms of that?
I don't know. Definitely risky. I don't know how that's gonna turn out for him.
Yeah.
Kind of weird.
Was there anything else you kind of noted?
Realies did not have a hazard clear, which was definitely a problem for him.
Yeah, I think definitely that that kind of cost him the match, his speed being lowered by sticky webs as well as the bounce back stealth rocks.
Oh yeah.
So the next match we have is the Texas Tauros taking on the Saugatuck Sandslashes. This was your first defeat in the entire season. How'd that feel?
I don't want to talk about it.
Oh man.
I'm just kidding. Good job to him, honestly.
Yeah, I think he did a good job of dethroning the king.
Oh yeah. I don't know if I don't want to say I'm a king, but like...
I mean, during the match, was there anything that really stood out to you as something that you were just like caught off by and just
I mean, there was a little bit of hacks with when I missed my air slash.
Yeah, I definitely think that was a crucial point in the game, as Braviary was a huge threat to your team, and not being able to take it out and letting it weaken like your top Pokemon being Tornadus. I think that kind of played a role in it, but I mean, there's no discredit to him in terms of like playing, because he played well. You can admit that.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Props to him.
Your Rotom-Mow put in a lot of late game work, reducing the differential.
Yeah, I think he did.
Yeah. So I also think in terms of lead, you sent out Crocodile, he sent out Braviary. How did that kind of affect your gameplay?
Well, the Braviary was defiant, so that sucked. Right?
Yeah. It also, what did you sack off into? You had to sack off something, right? You sacked off your Crobat, I think it was?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so I think that also played a large role in the match. But overall, well played Texas Tauros. I definitely think they're going to make a comeback in the season.
Yeah, definitely, actually.
Yeah,
they definitely did good plays.
Getting a big victory like this is definitely key to maintaining or trying to reach toward a playoff spot, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So the next match is one of the most hype matches, being the Washington Weaviles and the Southeast Swablu taking on each other. The Southeast Swablu, unfortunately, still yet to get a win, but it turns out that the Weaviles and the Swablu did end up having a good match in the end. And what that really meant was it was a good match, but Swablu still kind of messed up in the end, and Kyurem was able to really come in and put a lot of offensive pressure. Did you have any sort of other thoughts on it?
The Toxic on Skarmory.
Mm-hmm.
Whittled Thunderstone.
Yeah, I think that was a... I mean, I think Thundurus probably would have put a lot of work in the team either way. I mean, Thundurus did go 0-1 in the match, but yeah, you're right. It did definitely prevent
changed it.
Some prankster shenanigans in that front. Depending if possibly it was like a nasty plot sort of set or whatever. Was there anything else you kind of noticed that was good or bad on either side?
Kyurem was very good. Played very well.
Yeah.
Point that out.
It definitely had some good coverage in terms of definitely just had some good coverage in terms of just destroying the entire team.
Yep.
All right, so actually, before we move on, I think it should be important to note that Swablu isn't like doing horrible, but I think there's some out of game stuff that she needs to work on. Like, she didn't have stab on like half of her team.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, which was just kind of bad. I'm pretty sure you know that stab is important.
Yeah, that probably costed them the whole game, right?
I mean, it did in terms of like in terms of just like not having Stone Edge to kill the Beedrill immediately, or not having Poison Jab to knock out the Kyurem, to even reduce differential. I think Swablu plays well in-game, but needs to work on a lot of out-of-game prep.
Yeah, and I'm proud of Dubstep because he's making a really big difference compared to what he used to be.
Yeah, definitely.
In the CSL.
And we've started to see that throughout season 4 we're in. Yeah, I think Dub is definitely kind of turning himself around, turning the team of the Washington Weaviles around, which is definitely very good.
I agree.
Yeah. So the next match we have is the Magcargo Tel Aviv and Alpha Juarez taking on the Houston Haunters and Damon. The Magcargo Tel Aviv were 4-2 and the Houston Haunters were 3-3. So this was definitely important, a very important match. What would you like to start out with adding?
The trick from Milotic.
Oh,
I mean Metagross, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think that made Milotic pretty functionally useless.
Yeah.
Anything else?
There was a big comeback, right?
From Alpha.
Yeah, from Alpha.
Yeah.
He was handling it a lot.
What do you mean by that?
Just Abomasnow. You know?
Yeah, oh, you mean like making the comeback with the Swords Dance?
Yes.
Okay. So like, yeah, you have a point where it was like the Haunters were up like 6-3 or 6-4, and and Alpha seemed to look pretty down, but I think he chose to set up at the right time. So you agree?
Yeah, definitely.
All right. I definitely don't think this is like a ending point for the Haunters. Like 3-4 is definitely not bad, and they definitely have some room to catch up. But as I said last time, like, we really have to see them and how they perform against, you know, they've gotten these wins from these teams ranked lower than them, but we have to really see how they perform against teams that are higher ranked than them, getting, you know, 2-0'd by Swoops and 6-0'd by you. There was definitely there's a point that the Haunters need to really just not give up on themselves mid-match.
I'd like to point out that Clefable, very good at the sweeping.
Yeah, shout out to
nice.
Clefable. Clefable's
Shout out to Clefable.
So the next match we have is what you told me was your favorite match, right?
Which one was it?
The NJ Flabebe taking on the BC Bastiodons.
Oh yeah, that was tight. That was very good.
Tight match?
Yeah, it was a big match.
Alright, well, I'll let you start out. Give a brief summary of it.
Well, early on, BC had a lead, Bastiodons, because of Gyarados. He swept 2 Pokemon, like, right off the bat. But then Archeops came back, like with the switch-ins. It was very cool.
So, like, yeah, so every time Archeops, like, came in, like, something died. That was the issue.
Because of speed, right?
Like, I mean, there was some unfortunate things on, like, the Bastiodon side in terms of, like, Entei used Sacred Fire, like, 2 or 3 times, and it never got the burn, which kind of sucks.
Weird. 50%.
Yeah, it's a 50% move, so it's like, I mean, if you're mad at Scald not burning, imagine Sacred Fire.
Oh my god.
But Archeops picking up 5 kills.
Yeah. The technique was awesome.
In terms of just pivoting consistently and...
Yeah.
Getting the moves out.
Switching.
I think also that there was, I mean, it sucked for Neff at first in terms of like losing 2 Pokemon being down 4-6, but he knew in the back of his mind to bring it up, and he free agent Archeops just for this moment, so he used it very well.
Okay.
All right, so the final match of this week is the Boston Bisharps taking on the Syracuse Sylveons, probably the most hype match of the season. But the Bisharps ended up taking a 3-0 victory against the Sylveons. I want to point out Choice Banded Manaphy because that was pretty gimmicky. That was pretty good. It hit the entire team. It was... we definitely saw an early lead for the Bisharps, but a huge early lead. I think they were up like 5-2 at some point, but Dan was able to fight back a bit, which I was pretty proud of him for. Do you have anything to add?
Dan's lips.
Dan's lips. Yeah, I mean...
I'm just kidding.
So I think Aerodactyl was a switch-in that was pretty unnecessary.
Yeah.
I don't understand why Akeem had to sack that thing off to Blastoise, especially when Vileplume shut it down. So, like, I think that was pretty questionable. What did you have to add?
First of all, great matchup because two great players.
Yeah, it was definitely a hype matchup. YouTube versus YouTube.
This Celebi.
Yeah, the Celebi. That brought a
With
lot
the
of
weakness
things back
policy?
in terms of the match, in terms of differential and such. Do you want to explain how it...
Just the weakness policy turned it all around, really. Just how he handled it all.
Yeah. So I think Celebi was able to really bring back differential for the Sylveons, which was pretty nice. Alright, so those are the 8 matches. Next on to the top Pokemon of the week, which was given to the NJ Flabebe and Archeops. Once again, did you have any thoughts on the Archeops? Anything else to add?
I love the Archeops. I really like that Archeops, honestly. Very cool.
Drafted Season 5?
Yeah.
I mean, you're Mr. Pivoter, you're Mr. U-turn and Volt Switch,
yeah.
So...
True.
Yeah, I think...
Sorry.
Personally, maybe it's a good mon for you. I'm just saying. But Archeops putting in 5 kills this week. Every time it came in, something on the Bastiodons team died. You know, pretty straightforward. So it's going to be added to the Pokemon of the Week list at the bottom of your screen, which I recently added. So, pretty nice. So the next segment we have is the top killers, which still is led by Staraptor, maintaining, I think, 2 different matches where it went 5-0, as well as just other matches where it's consistently kept up kills. But in second place, we have your Tornadus. How have you How have you been liking Tornadus in the Draft League format?
He's just a good guy to, switch into. He's very strong in that way. He can take a hit, definitely.
Yeah, I think you've used it well with, like, Assault Vest sets and, like, making it super specially defensive. So, yeah, I think it's been pretty good for you. I think it went 0-1 this week, but it didn't really keep it from coming down in terms of top kills. Then we have a tie currently for Nidoking and Clefable being the 2 third-place teams. Nidoking and Clefable both going 4-0 this week, so hopefully they're going to be on a surgence. Did you have anything to add about either of them?
Clefable. With the... I think I already said it, but, I still thought the Clefable did really good with that sweep. So...
I think that he brought it in at the right time, which...
Definitely.
Eventually led to Alpha's just... I mean, even though Alpha was losing, he still found a point where, the things that truly counter Clefable or, truly check it were down, and then he could send it in, nothing could touch it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the next segment we have is actually the current standings right now.
I lost my streak.
You lost your streak. But we have the, I guess we can just go back and forth in terms of divisions and explaining what's happening. I'll start out with the yellow division and how the Boston Bisharps is 6-1. The Calgary HydroCannons are 4-3. The NJ Flabebe are 3-4, and the Memphis Mamoswines are 2-5.
So, yeah, Crack is definitely doing very well.
Yeah.
In this league.
Definitely better than past seasons where he's had rough starts. And he's right on your tail now by 2 differential points.
Yep, that's not good.
Do you want to introduce the Crystal division?
Yeah, we have the Magcargo Tel Aviv with 5-2 and a 13 differential. Texas Tauros with 3-4 and a 1 differential. Washington Weaviles with 3-4 with a negative 11 differential, and Florida Feraligatrs with a 2-5 and a negative 6 differential.
Yeah, so as you said earlier, Dubstep is definitely making a comeback. The differential isn't that great, but I definitely think the 3-4 record, I mean, he's technically already picked up more wins this season than he has last season, and we're only halfway through. So yeah. I think that's a good sign for him in the future of this league. Did you have any other thoughts on any of the players?
The Cargo Telev is very good.
Yeah.
They're doing very well.
Yeah, Alpha's a force to be reckoned with, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely. So for the Emerald Division, we have the San Diego Wild Chargers and Realies with the 5-2, Detroit Pyroar and Swoops with a 5-2 as well. Houston Haunters 3-4, and the Zion Zards are 2-5. Swoops and Realies are right next to each other. Do you think Realies is going to maintain that, considering he has a loss streak and Swoops has a win 3 streak, or do you think Realies is going to continue to lose more and more matches?
That's a close. That's a hard assumption to make because, you know, I mean, I don't really know how to judge that. They're very close to each other.
Right. Do you think that Realies is going to continue to lose and Swoops is going to continue to win?
I don't think he's going to continue to lose, but I feel like he definitely will lose more. But, like...
All right.
I think it's going to go on and off between Swoops and Realies.
In terms of just going back and forth between number one?
Yeah.
All right. So, your division, I guess I'll let you introduce this one.
Saugatuck Sandslahes, yours truly, with 6-1 and a 17 differential. Syracuse Sylveons with a 4-3 and a negative 2 differential. BC Bastiodons with 3-4 and a negative 5 differential. And last but not least, Southeast Swablu 0-7, negative 19 differential.
Last but not least.
Not very...
Kind of sad, but
yeah.
kind of least. But I think the Southeast Swablu are pulling through in terms of creativity and in terms of just as a player. I think they've had some rough matches.
Definitely.
But, you know, she's not bad.
She's not bad.
In any way. I guess, tell me, before the season started, how did you really feel about your division before the season even started? So, like, records aside.
Oh, I thought it would be like, at first, because I had, like, these 2 hard matches at first and stuff, right?
Yeah, Swoops and Dan.
Yeah. So, like, that was going to affect me. Plus, Dan is in my differential. So is BC Bastiodons, which is also pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah. I think you're definitely taking the division by storm, but you got to be careful. Dan's only a bit behind you.
Definitely.
So the next segment and the final segment we have is the Week 8 games and predictions. So first off, we have the San Diego Wild Chargers taking on the Houston Haunters. We're just gonna go back and forth in terms of who predicts first. I'm gonna go first and say that the Wild Chargers will win this, mainly because even though Realies is on a losing streak, I think in terms of morale and in terms of team spirit, I think the Haunters are on a bigger loss than the Wild Chargers, and the Wild Chargers have recently hit some rough spots, but I think this is a big opportunity for it to not only rise a lot higher in his division than Swoops, but also to just prove that this loss streak isn't going to be a permanent thing.
Like you said, Wild Chargers are just better on skill, and as showed from the last match from the Haunters, they might not be able to recover from streaks. I mean, sweeps, which is not good in their favor.
Alright, so you think the Wild Chargers are going to take it?
Yes. I think the Wild Chargers are going to win this match.
Cool. So the next match we have are the Detroit Pyroar taking on the Zion Zards. Which team do you think is going to take this one?
Pyroar has better team matchup, generally just a better player, honestly.
Alright. Yeah, I noticed a lot of things in terms of this matchup. It kind of makes me feel bad, but the Pyroar just dominate in terms of team matchup, which is which is kind of an issue. It sucks, but it's
really
kind of an issue.
Outweighs Sheriff.
Do you think, like the question I had earlier of like the Wild Chargers and the Pyro, do you think this is going to be an opportunity? Say they both win, or one of them loses, do you think this is going to be an opportunity for the Pyro to rise above the Wild Chargers, or do you think it's going to pretty much stay where it's at, pretty dead even?
That's a tough call. I don't know if this match is going to change everything. Definitely, I don't know about that, but I still stand by my claim that it'll just go on and off.
All right, fair enough. The next match we have are the Sandslash dethroners, the Texas Tauros, and the Magcargo Tel Aviv. I'm actually going to predict the Tauros for this one. I think that the Tauros have a lot of cool things in terms of team matchup, a lot of cool options that really shut the Magcargo Tel Aviv down. I don't think that Clefable is going to be as much of a threat as we've seen it recently. I mean, maybe I'll get proven wrong. Clefable will 6-0 the entire team, but I think this is, if this is the rise of the Texas Tauros, then I'm sticking with them until the end. What do you think?
I actually disagree. I think the Magcargo Tel Aviv will win. He's just a better player. He always finds a way to win, really.
Yeah.
Look at the differential.
Or the record.
5-2.
Yeah, that's fair enough. The next match we have is the Boston Bisharps taking on the Memphis Mamoswines. I really, really, really want the Mamoswines to win, but I know they won't. So
yeah.
I have to. I mean, if Anthony beats Akeem, then I will show Anthony that he is the greatest person on earth, because Anthony's a bro and he deserves to prove Akeem wrong. But I think that the Bisharps are gonna take this one. What do you think?
Yeah, he just outclasses Anthony
as a player.
Even though I would want Anthony to win,
but the Bisharps will win.
Yeah.
So we're picking the Mamoswines for our hopes, but our brains tell us the Bisharps. Is this seriously what's happening?
Yeah. Don't want to be mean.
All right.
But
so the next match we have is the NJ Flabebe, who recently got off their 4-loss streak with the Archeops, just wrecking shop, taking on the Calgary HydroCannons and the Predictions Master. How do you think this match is going to turn out?
I think the HydroCannons are going to win.
Really? After praising Archeops?
Yeah, definitely. They just have really good predictions, and the Flabebe just can't really.
I mean, I think the Flabebe's wins also have been very against minor opponents, whereas the HydroCannons have, they've held their own against both Swoops and Akeem. They've defeated Alpha Juarez. Like, they've had these bigger wins.
Mm-hmm.
So, on that front, you're picking the HydroCannons, but my gut tells me to go for the Flabebe. I predicted against them last week, and I really don't want to predict against them again, especially in a close record match like this. So my risk of the week is gonna be the Flabebe. I'm just gonna say the Flabebe wins. I think, even though Nev hasn't been seen to handle stall perfectly well, I think at the same time, Abda does really well against stronger opponents, but not as great against the middle level opponents such as Nefertum. So that's about that. The next match we have is the Syracuse Sylveons taking on the Southeast Swablu. Honestly, as bad as I feel, I have to give it to Dan. Dan, even though losing against Akeem, he was before on a 4-win streak. He is really learning to use his team well, and I'm pretty sure Swablu probably hasn't given up, but Swablu is definitely going to play a lot less seriously in terms of just sets and competitiveness, because I think Swablu just wants to have some fun with it now. But in terms of prediction on the recap sort of stance, I think the Sylveons just kind of take it. What do you think?
Dan's just a generally better player.
Mm-hmm.
More skill than as shown, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of the case with Akeem and Anthony. Our hearts say Swablu, but our minds say Dan.
Yeah. Definitely.
Is there any like thing in terms of just playing in the past week that you saw that you think will really stand out in this match?
I mean, even though Dan lost his last round, that was to a big player, and like Swablu didn't do very well
Against Dub.
Yeah, against Dub, who was the second worst.
Yeah, at the time it was ranked.
Yeah, at the time.
Dub actually, like, side note, has like risen like 5 points, which is good.
Yeah, very good for him. I'm still proud of him.
Which we're getting into his match right now, which is the Florida Feraligatrs taking on the Washington Weaviles. How do you think this one's going to turn out?
The Feraligatrs, I think, are gonna win. They have a better team matchup, and just Dub just doesn't get many big wins, you know.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I think Cries is either go big or go home, and the Weaviles, you know, they don't really score as many. They score a lot bigger losses than they do bigger wins. Like,
Yeah.
you know, wins will be like 1-0, 2-0, and the losses will be like 4-0, 5-0. So I think that says a lot about him as a player. But overall, I see where your stance on the Feraligatrs comes from. However, I think I'm going to go for the Weaviles on this one. I want the Weaviles to bring it
Really?
back. And, you know, if the Weaviles are hitting a team that are currently lower ranked than them, I think if they prep hard and use these sort of matches to really bring themselves up to the point where when they're fighting against players, you know, the Weaviles have like a fighting shot here. Like, if you really think about it, if Abda loses and the Weaviles or the Tauros win, you know, the playoff spot becomes a lot more tight, a lot more interesting as well. So I think if Weaviles can clinch some of the next few victories, they're definitely in a really good spot for playoffs.
Okay.
So finally, we're not making predictions for this one. It is the Saugatuck Sandslashes U versus the BC Bastiodons. After just seeing the Bastiodons playing, how are you feeling coming into this match?
I'm a little nervous. They're very good. They're just good players in general.
Do you have some thoughts on like sets? You don't have to reveal anything, I understand, but like, do you have any sort of like thoughts on what Pokemon you think are gonna be brought for this match?
Well, what can I say here?
I mean,
Sorry.
It's fine. I understand you don't want to like reveal anything. It's all
Yeah.
good, but like, I think the Bastiodons have a fighting chance, but I think you definitely have a strong matchup. I feel like it's going to be a very creative match though from the Bastiodon side. I feel like you should be prepared in terms of creativity and in terms of strange sets that you never usually see coming to shut down things.
Yeah, that's pretty much what makes me nervous about it.
Yeah. All right, fair enough. All right, so this has been CSL Weekly Recaps. Do you have anything else to add before the end of the match? Or the end of the match, the end of the recaps, anything to add?
Just thanks for letting me be here, I guess. It's an honor.
It's an honor. Jesus.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not going to say who, but one of the CSL players called me Sir.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
that was interesting. I was like, maybe you should do this instead of this. And he was like, you're right, sir. Sure, sir. I was like,
Sure, sir.
they start calling you king.
Oh my god.
How are you feeling just in terms of the rest of the season? In terms of like, if you think you're going to be number one, if you think you're going to secure the playoff spot, what do you think?
I think I can still pull through, but I don't know.
You never
There goes
know.
my streak. Yeah.
All right. So stay tuned for more CSL information. I'll see y'all later.